Episode 23, Grand Prix Trust.
If you think that Lambiassi's leaving Red Bull to go to McLaren just as a chief race engineer,
no chance.
No chance. He's going in a much more elevated role. So
probably team principal.
Yeah, and just on elevated roles, if you remember,
I've not had one. I had a bacon one this morning.
and there's a lift in this hotel. If you
Welcome to the Two Mechanics podcast. Kenny Handkammer and Mark Grain have 18 Formula One World Championships between them, have been in the Guinness Book of World Records twice. They have over 30 years of motorsport stories between them, not to mention the 40,000 beers. Cheers. What you say?
So, Mark, different location.
What are we saying?
Yeah, I'm back again after 2 weeks. So it's been a roller coaster with travel, etc. As you know, but it's great joining you live. Cheers.
Cheers. Good
in a local boozer. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
The reason we're here is we're at the Mechanics Trust reunion tomorrow at Williams Factory.
It's Silverstone.
Oh, Silverstone. Sorry, yes.
That's right. Yeah.
And so we're very happy about that. We're going to meet up with a lot of old friends, etc., that I've not seen for an awful long time, as I'm not that local, not just up the road anymore. So this is why we're here, and we're doing it in a fantastic hotel, by the way. Do you want to talk about the hotel?
Yeah, well,
you spent here.
We'll talk about we'll talk about that in a little while. But yeah, to Ken's point, here we are. Ken's back in the UK, back in Blighty. We're just down the road from Silverstone at the Villiers Hotel. And we're going to the Grand Prix Trust lunch tomorrow, which is it's a wonderful organisation that is there to look after people who have worked in Grand Prix motor racing should they have fallen on hard times or ill health and so on. So yeah, we're looking forward to that tomorrow. But before that, we've still got plenty of stuff to talk about in the news.
Yeah.
Coming off the back of the Miami Grand Prix, we've spoken about that, but there's lots of different things circulating at the moment in and around Formula One, let alone IndyCar, which we want to talk about again in a minute.
So where do you want to start? I mean, there's a lot of talk because there's no races. There's obviously a lot of talk about Maisie. There's lots of stuff about Christian, Adrian.
So I think,
I mean, we don't script any of this, so it's just a bullet point we have to just go.
So a little bit of sad news, shall we say? I believe that Adrian's a bit poorly at the moment. Dreadfully sad. Here's to a speedy recovery to Adrian.
He was actually a fit guy. He cycles a lot. He used to do that with Eddie Jordan.
Yeah.
He's a healthy guy. So let's hope he gets well soon. Send our regards.
But also, and I'm sure this doesn't to aid his recovery, shall we say, or anything like that. But understand that he's the relationship at Aston Martin isn't great at the moment, and
probably a bit frosty.
Yeah. And Adrian's relationship with Lawrence isn't great either. So, but of course, health first. And
I'll drink to that. Yeah.
Hopefully he's on the mend. Cheers, Adrian. But yeah, I believe that the relationship between him and Lawrence is at a pretty low point right now. I still think that team is very strong, and there's still some. It's not all about one man. The motor racing team is. So I think they'll bounce. I think they'll recover and they'll bounce back. I think they're making progress with Honda. Just tough times for that Silverstone-based team.
I think it underlines that doesn't matter how much money you've got, you can't buy a championship. Look how long it's taken Ferrari to. They haven't won anything since 2007, right? And they've got more money than you can shake a stick at. Yeah. So you can't just buy a championship. It's about a team. It's about an effort between everybody. So yeah, hopefully he'll get speedy recovery, and we'll see him back soon.
The other thing I picked up on, and I've had some people kind of alluded to this, is the whole Lambiassi leaving Red Bull and then everybody, you would have noticed that the press releases between McLaren and Red Bull were very well timed. So it was, oh yeah, Lambiasi's leaving us. Oh yeah, Lambiasi's joining us, and that was all nicey. I understand because some of the details of that, the contract, his employment contract with McLaren, have been leaked. That
Who leaked those, Mark?
I don't know.
Okay.
Wasn't me.
Okay.
That all of a sudden there's a little bit of friction, and I think that Laurent Mekies and Zach Brown got together at Miami to try and thrash that out and come to find some common ground on how they were going to deal with that moving forward. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. But the upshot of that is if you think that Lambiasi's leaving Red Bull to go to McLaren just as a chief race engineer,
No chance.
No chance. He's going in a much more elevated role. So
Probably team principal.
Yeah. And just on elevated roles, if you remember,
I've not had one. I had a bacon one this morning.
and there's a lift in this hotel. If you we spoke about Alec McNish. Just
yeah, you did say, well, if
keep watching this one. I'm sure Alan's going to get a senior role at Audi.
You did call that out, and yeah, I mean, he's a great bloke. I think they're obviously big shoes to fill. I still think Jonathan's going to be missed. I think his impact, he never really. I mean, he got the whole team set up.
Any team that,
right? He got the whole team set up. Now it's let's see where they go. Hopefully, things will get better. But at the moment,
I think any team that
performing as well as
any team that Jonathan leaves, I'm not blowing smoke up his backside. I think any team that Jonathan leaves is always going to be a loss to them, because with his experience and so on, and everything that you can bring.
Yeah, look what they did with pit stops last year, Sauber. They completely changed, as but yeah, etc.
And Alan had a bit of a baptism of fire, I think, didn't he, in that race, operations director or whatever that title is, double DNF and all sorts. And didn't they also get I don't know, 10-second penalty or something? I can't remember, but I know that
they got some work to do.
Yeah.
They got some work to do for sure.
Yeah, so that's current state of play, I think, in Formula One. Those are the big headlines at the moment coming off the back.
Yeah, but also, should we just touch on Christian Horner?
Yes,
my old boss. He's been seen at MotoGP, and with one of the Honda bosses, and I think there's a lot of speculation that he might be running or look at running a MotoGP team. I think that's not going to happen.
No way.
I see he might be there. He might be there looking at the Stefano Domenicali type role or Bernie Ecclestone type role of building up and putting MotoGP a bit further up the scale. I don't see, because otherwise that'd be a step backwards for Christian, and he's more than capable of doing it.
Absolutely, I agree completely.
And it probably does need a rev up as well.
I think if Christian's going to be involved in MotoGP, then I think it is at that level.
Yes,
to your point,
100%.
I think it's anything less is a step.
Remember where you heard it?
No disrespect to Gunter, but Christian's not Gunter Steiner. Gunter's
he's replaced him once before, right?
Yeah, precisely. So I think you're absolutely right. I think if Christian goes anywhere near that,
and good luck to him.
Then it'll be to run the entire thing in a Stefano type role,
and he'll do a good job. Yeah. Like him or loathe him, he'll do a good job.
Yes, yeah, I agree. And of course, there's been the noises coming from the FIA regarding team ownership as well. So I think that if Christian is going to go anywhere near the Enstone team, Alpine, then he stands a better chance than he did do 2 months ago, because it looks like Mercedes are going to get a knockback. It'll be interesting to see where that comes out with Red Bull and Racing Bulls, and how all of that and that dual team ownership can work. But it sounds to me like Christian's hand has been strengthened if he really has got serious investors to go after the Enstone team.
I agree with you, and I know we all know how complicated and how political these things are.
I think that's where we're at. I think there's a lot of fans would love to see Christian back in the Formula One paddock.
There's a lot of people.
All that, that rivalry with Toto and that rivalry with
It
Zach Brown.
it needs those personalities to be in there, because it's always had them. It's had the Flav and Ron Dennis relationships, the Eddie Jordans, and they're all fighting, but actually end up going on holiday together. So it is a bit of showboating and a bit of work, but generally there's no real malice. It just comes. The media love to build it up, obviously. Yeah, apparently.
But that's all right, isn't it? It's that should be what Formula One's about. Those big strong characters leading great motor racing teams with fast cars. That's what Formula One should be about. Yes,
I mean Yes, I won't say anything more about that. But so, and then we've got the month of May, which you're more familiar with than me.
Absolutely. We are now, it's May the 10th, so we're into the month of May, and we have just had the IndyCar road course race at the Temple of Speed, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. It was quite an eventful race with a win for McLaren, actually. Christian Lundgaard. There was some shunts and
Your
so
old
on.
team.
My old team.
You were actually running that IndyCar team
well,
a couple of years ago.
So that's great for those guys. Some front runners taken out at turn one and in an accident. My old mate Felix Rosenquist, and of course who was formerly a McLaren driver, and Pato O'Ward, they were both taken out. Pato, of course, is a current McLaren driver, so that gave others opportunities. So it was a pretty good motor race, and congratulations to the McLaren team. Congratulations to Christian on that win and Christian's getting that monkey off his back there. So, but more, I'd like to talk about what the month of May is, which is incredible. So they've just done the road course race, and that uses part of the legendary speedway that uses turn one and the start finish straight, but in a reverse order. So it's like when Formula One used to race at the speedway, that was the Grand Prix circuit that the IndyCar teams have just raced on. Those cars, if you watch that race, all of those cars now get parked up. They're either returned to the factories, their shops, as to use a US term, cleared all that space out. They don't use those cars for the 500 for the speedway racing. That's because all of the cars are so different. They obviously need the space at the speedway. You can't have all that clutter and all of that road course hardware, different wings.
But it's still quite amazing that it's a completely different car. Because from an outside, I mean, we understand a little bit more about it, but to understand, but it looks exactly the same. So why isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
So it's still a Dallara car, right? So the chassis are all the same and so on, and you get all the components still
until
from Dallara,
you look at it in close detail.
Until you get to the detail, and those speedway cars are built all at each team's factories.
Yeah,
they spend weeks and weeks and weeks building those cars, along with racing their road course cars and all of that sort of stuff. So they're built in parallel, and often there are some components that were all produced by Dallara, all legal, but if they were produced at a previous time and they're just that tiny bit better for aero, if it's a wishbone, tiny wing difference in the wings, all past scrutineering, all legal, but some of those components are really quite old. And they only roll them out, and they keep them. So keep them, to use the analogy, in a bottom drawer.
Bottom drawer.
And they all get pulled out, and you build your speedway car, you build your Indy 500 car using all of those old components. So there's a lot of subtlety in it, and how all of.
So what happens when they run out, Mark? Do you get a third party vendor in to then start taking splashes and molds and doing stuff?
That's against the rules. Can't do that.
Anyway.
So
Where were we?
so that's how that works. That's how that works. They'll have taken away all their road course cars. They rolled out their speedway cars, and now they'll be into it's a week of practice. That leads into Fast Friday, which is a day where all the teams practice qualifying, because that's ahead of the qualifying weekend. Fast Friday. Fast Friday is an incredible day. And I remember doing the debrief session in the engineering office at the Speedway there when I was at the McLaren IndyCar team. And it was Felix Rosenquist's turn to talk through his day.
Right.
And he was talking about on the third run going into turn one, he had this moment. And this is in absolute qualifying trim. So it's trimmed out as low as you can go, so fast.
125 plus.
And
225, sorry.
Oh, yeah. And then, faster than that in quality trim. Anyway, so we did that, finished up, and Felix was sitting next to me, sitting right where you and I are now.
Was he having a beer?
He wasn't having a beer. No, neither was I at that point.
Right.
So we all finished, and I turned around to Felix and I said, that moment you spoke about going into turn one where it just came round on you a little bit. I said, what was that like? And he just looked at me and he went, terrifying.
But can you imagine?
And it's one of the best exchanges I've ever had with a racing car driver. There was no bravado with him. He didn't sugarcoat it. All the rest of it. He could have been. Oh yeah. He did. He just looked at me and went, terrifying. So that's the challenge of the Speedway, and then of course then it goes into. We will talk about this in later podcasts, but then you get into the.
We always say that and don't.
Oh yeah, no, we don't. We will do with this for sure, because then it's the qualifying weekend.
Yes, no,
which will be fantastic, and then you've got the 500, and we'll talk about the 500 when the race is on, because it's so fun. It's such a great motor race for somebody who spent 24 years in Formula One and all the rest of it. I promise you, the Indy 500 is incredible. So.
Yeah, it's still on my bucket list. I've done lots of other IndyCar races, working for AJ Foyt, etc. But yeah, it's an event that I should do. I should have worked at. But maybe not.
You never know.
No, I'm not going back.
So here we are. So I think this is the right time to talk about our rearview mirrors.
Well, I mean, so this hotel, which is a lovely hotel, and this wasn't our race hotel for Silverstone race. We stayed in the Littlebury in Bicester. There was one or two F1 teams. No, one F1 team and maybe a Formula 3000 team at the time. That's where I met Mark Simo.
Oh, Simo, yeah.
Yeah, and we had a rest, and then we worked later on in Red Bull together. Rest in peace, my friend. And send my love to his wife, Susan Toe. I think that this place reminds me of the Littlebury, but Littlebury was one of those small village town pubs that they knew F1 was coming in, and they knew we were coming. We were arriving, and apparently there was going to be some late night drinking. And my first experience was, I won't go into too much detail, but a very famous, reputable person, John Bolton, aka Murph. Who was my number one at the time. It was my first F1 race. I think I was the spare car for Johnny Herbert, right? Because we had an 88 car and 89 car. We had two of each. Anyway, long story short, it was a particularly late night, and they somehow managed to keep the bar open later than they do in Vegas. So it was race day was particularly difficult. It's probably without too much detail about other things. What about you?
Well, my rearview mirror is this place. This is the Villiers Hotel.
Beautiful place.
Wonderful. I've been staying on and off through work and Formula One since 1992. Used to stay with Williams on the Williams test team, and then the McLaren race team as well. Used to stay here. So yeah, this bar's got a lot of memories for me. There's a lot of people when I was at Williams and the testing. The McLaren test team used to stay here as well, or at least the boys used to come in for a beer. So this place has got a lot of memories for me. It's a fantastic hotel.
I'd highly recommend it.
Yeah.
If you're going to
I've always had great
Silverstone or
service.
even in the area doing something, it's
Yeah.
And by the way, we're not doing this to get discounted rooms, sadly. But we just asked them if we could do our podcast here, and we feel gracious for that. So thank
we are right in the heart of Motorsport Valley, as people tend to call it these days. You know, we're in Buckingham. It's just down the road from Silverstone, and
you've got Aston Martin there.
Precisely.
You've got Cadillac.
Milton Keynes just down the road, 5-10. How far? Is it 15 minutes or something like that? I think Milton Keynes is. So they really are. We really are right in the heart of Motorsport Valley. So again, if you're coming over, you need to visit any of the teams. You've got to go to Silverstone. You've got to do all of that sort of stuff. Come and stay here.
It's a lovely countryside pub, regardless.
It's a great place to stay. It really is.
Another thing. What do you think about?
So
predictions for Canada. I mean, new upgrade from Mercedes.
Big upgrade.
Okay, they've already got a bit advantage. They've just won 3 races, right? Back to back with Kimi.
They've just won in Miami without a big upgrade.
Oh no.
McLaren delivered a big upgrade. We spoke about this previously.
I think Red Bull did.
Red Bull delivered a medium-sized upgrade. Again, let's not get bogged down in the full technical details, and that it's all out there. If you want to take a look, you can see the differences in the colours. Right? So Mercedes are going to play their first big hand of the season.
Yes.
Big upgrade to Canada, and Canada, as well, has got it's a very specific circuit as well. You run low downforce. It's really tough on brakes. You've got all of that stuff.
Massively tough on brakes.
So there's going to be all of those, which would be interesting in this hybrid era, and these cars where the
regenerating,
regenerating, which is kind of like engine braking and all the rest of it. So maybe it's not so tough on brakes as
it'd be easy on brakes in theory.
Previous, but anyway, if you're asking me who my money's on Mercedes-Benz.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree with that. But not always every upgrade works, as we know.
Very true.
But I think the days have changed from that because of the
Yeah.
technology. I remember bringing packages to the circuit, and it was horrible. We had to revert back, and all of a sudden you're flying out the old floors and this, that, and the other because they were so convinced it was going to work. But that if they do come with a big upgrade that does work, they're gone for the season, I think.
So more importantly, my question to you is: it sounds like we both agree that Mercedes-Benz are the team to watch in Canada.
Yes.
They are a 2-car team.
Apparently.
What driver then? Come on.
Kimi.
Yeah, same for me.
I mean, George won his first race there. So I think in my eyes, if he doesn't win in a better car than everybody else has got next alongside his teammate, his head's going to be in a very different place. Let's talk about it again. Since he's been in Formula One, he's never been outbeaten, qualified or raced hardly ever by his teammate. So he's never been in this experience before. And I know he's been quite vocal about if I would have, been in Formula One 5 years ago, I'd have won 2 championships. Well, I think, come on, that's cottage cheese.
I was,
but at the end of the day, if Kimi goes and keeps it out the wall, coming onto straight, which I think even some of the best drivers I've seen, Schumacher, Alonso, coming onto that straight, wet and dry, and in the wall, and he keeps it clean, and they get on and they deliver what they're supposed to be. I think it'll be Kimi. I think he's probably getting an awful lot of behind the scenes coaching as a young person to stay on top of that. And I don't think there's anybody upset by seeing Kimi win. Nobody's going, nobody's upset by it. They love it. It's like having, the new Verstappen, new Schumacher, new Senna on the block. And so let's see how that pans out.
I went for a beer with our old friend Mark Owen, as you know, is very accomplished race car engineer, and before that he was team manager at the Benetton Formula One team.
I remember,
so
have to report
and him and I were talking about George and Kimi, and he was just saying what we're saying, that Antonelli is mercurial. It's fantastic to watch, and George needs to get a grip. George needs to.
Yeah, and George hasn't been in that place before, so he needs to reinvent himself.
Correct. He's never really been in this championship fight. When you look at his position in a team, when he's been, let's face facts, frankly, number 2 driver to Lewis Hamilton. You know, Lewis, with all of those multiple championships behind him and all the rest of it, is always going to have that gravitas. You know, all of that. So this is this big test. This big test now for George, and I think Canada. He really needs to react. I think he does.
If he doesn't, it's going to be in for a very long season. But it'll be an interesting race. I think it will be dominated by Mercedes. I've not heard of any other upgrades coming from any other teams. I think everybody had a big step for this one.
You can talk about undercuts. You can talk about McLaren strategy, all the rest. You can talk about Ferrari and Lewis having a bit of an off weekend in Miami. We can talk about all of that. The bottom line is that Mercedes won in Miami without bringing a big upgrade, and everybody else did. Okay. So when you get to Canada and they deliver their upgrade, then,
and as we said, your biggest competition,
you can just see them disappearing into the distance.
Yeah. And as we spoke before, your biggest competition is your teammate. You know, look at what Lewis did, you know, against Hamilton. Amazing job. What he's done in previous, you know, against other drivers and teams. He's dominated most of it since he was in Williams. So, like I said, you need to get a grip of it. Hamilton needs to do something. Not because right now he's number 2, right? Because Leclerc is doing the business. Although he had last laps, what do you want to call it? But at least he's hanging it out there to dry, and that's what Kimi's doing, and that's what these young guys and you know, we've not even spoke about Max, so we don't. I think they'll still be behind with the Mercedes upgrade, but you know, I think it'll be an interesting race, and you know, we know what the weather can be like in Canada too.
Massive influence.
So I've got a very good rear view mirror coming up for Canada.
You and I both.
Yeah, one of those involved Nigel Stepney. So we'll talk about that later. Yeah, I would like to. Also, I still want to thank everybody that's you know, we've had a lot of views. Thank you very much for all of our listeners. We've received all of your comments and press, and we're not biased at all. I hope you don't think we are biased at all, especially with, you know,
we want to keep it unscripted. We deliver it how it is. We really do get, to use a motor racing term, the inside line. We really have still got strong connections to various teams and so on, and so and
looking forward to tomorrow for the Mechanics Trust reunion.
I'm really looking forward to the
and we'll send you some footage from there. If you look at our Instagram, and maybe we'll do some filming for YouTube, etc. But thanks for all our, please subscribe. Thanks for all of our followers, and we really appreciate it.
So we've got one last feature to do, one last spot, one of our regular spots, which is who's around it?
I know you bought the last one, but I have got your room number.
I think we both know.
Cheers. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Oh, thanks to the production team again. Thanks to Mel. Thanks to Chris, and thanks to Nichole, obviously. And
cheers, everybody.
Bye bye.